all well. Today we will check the homework for Unit 2 and then go on to watch the lecture for Unit 3. Remember, if you need help, you can drop by my weekly office hours anytime. Let's get to work. Exercise 1 is filling in the correct number. I was confused by this instruction at first, so I'll put it into other words for you. How many of the first notes does it take to equal the second note? A, for example. It takes 4 quarter notes to equal a whole note. B, it takes 2 quarter notes to equal a half note. In the bottom section, you might have slight differences. Like you might have seen E half note right here and said to yourself, every good boy does fine. You might have written E on the first line. I said F-A-C-E, our trick for space notes. Both are correct. Also, you may have chosen a stems up note to write first for number 4. That's okay too. Just check to see if your bass clef note in measure 1 is a stems up note. This is Unit 2, Lesson 7. You might have different notes written in number 2, 3, and 4 than I do, and that is okay. Just make sure that you check your slogans and count your ledger lines. Also, you may have chosen a stems up note to write first for number 4. That's okay too, just make sure your bass clef note for the first measure is a stems down note. This is Lesson 8. I'll give you 30 seconds to make sure you have the right answers. This is Lesson 9. 2 half notes equal a whole note. Please check the rest on your own. I didn't do 3, 4, or 5. There should be identical symbols in each of them. The ability to draw perfect rectangles is an unimportant skill in music theory, in my opinion. Here is Unit 2 ear training. Please make sure that your answers match to mine. Here are the answers for the review of Unit 2. I'll give you 1 minute to check the answers. Now for Unit 3, which is about different time signatures, dotted notes, slurs, and ties. If you retained what you should have for the Unit 2 lesson on time signatures, you will have remembered that the top number represents the number of beats in each measure. The bottom number represents the note value that gets 1 beat. I told you that it was safe to assume that the bottom number will be 4, meaning that the quarter note gets 1 beat. Today I will tell you about 2/4 time and 3/4 time signatures. In 2/4 time signature, there are only 2 beats per measure as opposed to 4. That means instead of counting measures by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, you would count 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. The bottom number is still 4, so the quarter note gets 1 beat. If you have a whole measure of rest, meaning 2 beats of silent concentration, you will not see half rest, even though it would be logical. You will instead see a whole rest. I struggled with this concept at first since I'm the type of person who always asks "but why" for everything. I finally accepted that a whole rest is written for a whole measure of rest, even if it's 2 beats per measure. It still doesn't fully sit right with me, but that's the way it is. That means you won't see a half rest in 2/4 time. I know. Shh. It'll be alright. Just accept it. This will tick you off even more. Regardless of the 2/4 exception with whole rests, you will never see a whole note in 2/4 time. Whole rests are good in 2/4 time, but whole notes are not allowed. I know. This makes no logical sense that I know of anyways, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. Thousands of popular songs are in 3/4 times. For example, the famous song from The Sound of Music. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that sag on your nose and eyelashes. You can count it like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There is also a classical dance genre that requires 3/4 time. Any guesses? No, it's not the tango. No, not the Macarena. The Dougie. You're killing me. I'll give you a hint. It starts with the W and rhymes with salts. You got it. Waltz. I have a very favorite waltz. It's called Waltz in C Sharp Minor by Frédéric Chopin. Let's listen actively and mindfully and count to 3 out loud as you listen. 2/4 time, a whole measure rests, and 3/4 time is notated by a whole rest. I already expressed my thought on this subject, but Fräulein Maria thinks that this is confusing too, so don't feel too bad. Not until you get into really complicated time signatures like 7/8 or 12/4 will you be thankful that every full measure rest, no matter this time signature, is written as a whole rest. On to one of my favorite music theory features. Drum roll, please. The dotted note. A dot next to the note changes the note value. It has to be next to the note, not above or below it. We'll talk about that kind of dot later. Ready for an earful? Okay, good. A dot to the right of the note adds half the value of the note onto the total value. Lost ya? How about a visual? Here's a nice, friendly, simple half note. It's worth 2 beats. Now let's be ornery and add a dot. Bam. What's half the value of 2? 1. That was a rhetorical question. Obviously, you know what half of 2 is. 2 from the original half note plus 1 from the dot equals 3. This note is worth 3 beats. What's this note called? I think the creator of the musical notation system was at the end of his rope and said, what should I call this half note with a dot next to it? I know. A dotted half note. Lame. When 2 of the same notes are joined with a curved line, it's called a tie. Say you wanted to write an 8-beat note in 4/4 time. It would look like this. Say you wanted to write a 6-beat note in 3/4 time. Voila, it would look like this. Okay, here's a harder example. Say you want to write 6 half notes in 3/4 time. You could fit 1 half note in there, but then you run into trouble. This is why ties are a necessary element of music. A quarter note tied to another quarter note is another way of notating a half note. One last thing, you can have different note values tied, like this 5-beat note in 4/4 time. As you can see, I tied a whole note to a quarter note to make it a 5-beat note. In short, ties are needed for the many times you want to extend one note for more beats than you have left in the measure. Slurs look just the same as ties, but they connect 2 or more pitches, like this. If you are playing a wind instrument, like the clarinet, you would only let the air out with your tongue 1 time. I'll demonstrate the right way to play a slur and the wrong way to play a slur. I'll use my best clarinet voice too. As opposed to do 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 do. If you are playing a string instrument that uses a bow, such as the violin, slurs mean to play all the notes included in the slur in one bow motion. If you play the piano, a slur indicates which notes should be smooth and connected with no space in between. Your textbook says when you lift your hands, but that's kind of simplifying things. If you are a vocalist, sing all notes within the slur in one single breath. Turn in your textbooks to page 21, which is Unit 3 review. Locate number 4 and number 5. A dotted half note gets 3 beats always when the bottom number is 4. They were trying to trip you up, those buggers. In this presentation, I've given you all the information you need to do lessons 10 through 13, Unit 3 ear training, and Unit 3 review. Good luck, work hard, and see you next time.